Hi, this is Regeline Sabat, also known as Gigi. You're listening to Walk With Me podcast. My guest today is Justin Breen. Justin Breen is the founder and CEO of BrEpic and author of Epic Business. Welcome to the podcast, Justin.
What's up, Gigi? How you doing?
Great, great. Now, why don't you start off by telling us about you and where you're from?
Sure. So I was a journalist for 20 years, and now I have a PR firm, wrote a best-selling book that's a #1 bestseller in 6 countries, and live about 25 miles north of downtown Chicago.
I love it. And tell us more about your book, Epic Business.
Sure. Yeah. So for my company's 30-month anniversary, I posted, at the time I had about 37,000 followers on social media. So I posted this list of 30 things I learned from some of the top entrepreneurs in the world in my company's first 30 months. And all my followers are like, you have to write a book on this. You have to write a book on it. And people were printing the list out and bringing it to meetings. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll write a book, and signed with one of the top micro publishers in the United States. She's based out of California, wrote the book in 43 days. It launched in May. And like I said, #1 bestseller in 6 countries, #1 for entrepreneurship in the US. And it's changing lives every day in terms of people are like, how did you create this life for yourself where you work with only the best people on the planet, make as much money as you want to, and do what you like to do when you're good at? I'm like, well, this is how I did it.
I love it. Tell us more about your company and your ideal client.
Yeah, it's a good question. I was a journalist for 20 years and created my entire business model based on how PR firms annoyed me for 20 years. So a lot of really successful entrepreneurs created a business because they were either annoyed or they saw a problem. So that's what I did with mine. Most PR firms send out these useless press releases. And as a journalist, you get hundreds of these a day from people you don't know. And most of these press releases aren't interesting and or newsworthy. So my firm creates actual stories that are newsworthy and interesting for clients all over the world, any size, any location, any vertical, and it becomes a link on the client's website under news or blog, and then I take that link and pitch it to media all over the world. If media is interested, put them in touch with the client contact moving forward. So it's very streamlined. Like I said, it works for any type of business, any size, any location. The person you asked about ideal clients, if someone is a person who looks at things as cost, they immediately go away from my life. I only work with people that look at things as investments with an abundance mentality. So it's weeded out all the nonsense and only focused on the cream of the crop. And then those people just introduce me to more people like that around the world.
That's awesome. Now, Justin, what has given you the most joy and fulfillment in your life?
Yeah, so I'm the outlier of outliers. Most entrepreneurs, when they hear 10X, they think about 10Xing their revenue or office space, or maybe not office space now, but employee count, things like that. I don't care about any of that. It doesn't make any sense to me. My 10Xing is 10Xing my network on a global level because it creates endless opportunities for my network and for myself, and there's literally no limit to how big it can grow. And then 10Xing my experiences with my family. So doing cool things with my wife and my 2 young sons. So it's very simple. And like I said, I'm ultra focused on, connecting people on a global level and getting people in news at a high level. And none of this has worked for me. I work 0 hours a week, and I just enjoy my life and watch this network continuing to grow and creating endless opportunities for my network and for myself.
I love it. Now, how did you make the decision to choose the vocation you did?
So I'll answer that in 2 ways. One, I've always wanted to be a journalist. One of the first photos of me is me sitting on my mom's lap when I was maybe 4 or 5 months old, reading the Chicago Sun-Times newspaper. I'm naturally curious. I have a brain that remembers weird things about people or interesting things to me. So that's a natural progression into journalism. And then, I created this business after my job salary was cut in half on February 10th, 2017. And this is a typical entrepreneur story, by the way. It's the prologue of my book. But yes, I was working full-time as a journalist. You see my son just pop in there?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, he's
Our special
7. Yeah, so he's 7. He just started his first business a couple days ago. He made $16 in his first day selling. These bracelets he made these, and he's selling them. So we don't watch cartoons here, teaching about life and entrepreneurship. But so back to why I started this company. So my job salary was cut in half February 10th, 2017. Tried to find a full-time job, couldn't find a job. So I incorporated April 16th, 2017 while working full-time to reduce salary. So the next 6 weeks or so, I reached out to 5,000 people to get my first 5 clients. So 1 in 1,000, 999 no's for every yes. Got my 5th client, I think June 1st, 2017, resigned June 2nd. And then June 5th, Robert Feeder, who's the top media columnist in the Midwest, did a story that I'd started my own firm. So that's entrepreneur life in a nutshell there. Just starting a company, never giving up, fighting through overwhelming obstacles, and just creating something that's great.
That is such a powerful story of how you overcame that matter. Now, was there a time in your life journey where you experienced an aha moment?
Many. A recent one was actually after I finished my book, or right in the process of writing the book, I realized I have a PR firm, but that's not really what my company is. What it really is this giant incubator of geniuses around the world, and we're just constantly introducing each other for mutual gain. And then the byproduct is I'm constantly getting interested companies around the world that want to hire my firm. So it was really interesting during I can write a chapter in 10 minutes. It's easy for me. But during the whole process of writing it, it's really interesting to see that that's what the aha moment was for me, that this company just is this giant incubator. And most of my day is talking to people like you on a global level, and then they'll say something, or they'll say something obscure that they think is obscure, but I'll be like, oh, I know someone in Arkansas that thinks exactly the same way, and then I'll connect them. And then a week later, they'll be like, how did you know how to do that? We're best friends now, or we're doing business together. And I just know how to do that. I don't know how. I don't write anything down. It's just like riding a bike or like walking or breathing for me. So the beauty of it, and that the beauty of what my company is that there's literally no limit for it, because you just keep meeting great people, and it just keeps growing because it grows, and it just never stops.
That's awesome. Now, what is your best advice to the audience for walking with purpose and living a life of happiness?
So that's a good question for multiple reasons. For certain, I think the number one reason people don't like their jobs, or they're unhappy in life, or whatever it is because I don't think they ever discover what their actual superpowers are, and or what they actually like to do and what they're good at, and they don't make use of what they're really supposed to be doing. So with me, I just like to do what I like to do and what I'm good at. So that's the number one thing I've learned, is like, certainly since I've started my business, is just do what you like to do and what you're good at, and then only work with people that look at things as investments, not costs, because those people, one, they're investing and pivoting like crazy right now, and they're leveraging this as a really great opportunity to help their companies and society in general. But they don't think of things in a transactional way. They think of things in a relationship way. And so I have tens of thousands of these amazing relationships around the world, and these are usually the happiest, most forward-thinking people in the world, and it just creates all this joy and abundance. And so when you do what you like to do and what you're good at, you find other people that are doing the same thing. And then when you work with only people who look at things as investments, then those people refer you to other people that look at things as investments, and it eliminates all the noise, all the clutter, all the nonsense, and just creates all this joy and abundance.
I love it. I love your business mentality.
Oh, it's very direct. And so what happens is I do, sorry for cutting you off there, but what happens is during these interviews, there are 2 types of people that listen or watch this. 90% of people just never reach out to me. They're like, this guy doesn't think like me. And usually those folks are caught in their own world of not, going for it, in my opinion, the wrong mentality. And then there's the 3 to 5% like, oh my God, this guy's the greatest guy ever. And those people are one of 2 types of people. One, they're running some of the most successful businesses on the planet and they're enjoying their lives. Or 2, they have the mindset to where they're going to be a person like that. And so then those people reach out to me. And then that's what my company is. It's just tens of thousands of those people that keeps growing every day.
Very powerful. Now, where do you see your business heading 5 to 10 years from now?
Yeah, so I get that question minimum 5 to 10 times a day, and I'm the outlier of outliers, and I don't look at things like that. So I'm 43. Um, my life goals are to live to 100, be at my grandchildren's weddings. So that my sons are 6 and 7. That's it. So grandchildren's weddings are a long time from now. Take my family to Alaska for a year. Go see polar bears in Svalbard, which is this archipelago way north of Norway, and then swim in a cage with great white sharks in South Africa or Australia. So those are my life goals. 5 to 10 years from now, I don't look at things like that. Because I talk to so many great people every single day, I always answer this like, well, where do I see myself 5 to 10 hours from now? Because there's so many great opportunities that are out there every single day. I'm just enjoying that. And while it's great to have a good vision, in fact, that is the last chapter of my book, have a great vision to move you forward. I found that sometimes people focus too much on the vision ahead as opposed to actually enjoying their lives. And I live in the present, and I enjoy life with my children, who one of them just video bombed this, and the other one probably will too, or you might see a giant Nerf gun in the background with them aiming it at me before they're about to shoot. So I'm just enjoying my life, and I think that's what's been so cool about the book is other people read, they're like, oh, you actually know what you're doing, and been creating all this joy in my life too, or helping me start a business or getting through the anxiety of that kind of process. And so yeah, this is how I talk and communicate and how I am, my demeanor. That's exactly how the book is. Like there's no deviation. It's like this is the person that I am, and like 100% very, very, very clear transparency. So
That is very powerful. Now, you mentioned overcoming anxiety as well. Can you explain some of the steps that you took to overcome?
there's multiple steps, and I'm glad you asked that, because like people look at the success I'm having or other entrepreneurs are having, they think this is all sunshine and rainbows. And one of the chapters in the book is like, if you're having a bad day or month, you need, I strongly recommend reaching out to someone. So um, the hardest day in corporate in terms of stress and anxiety, it's nothing compared to this. So if you start the entrepreneurial journey, if you can't handle overwhelming anxiety or depression or fear of going bankrupt or any of that, I would not recommend going down this path. Um, I know tens of thousands of entrepreneurs, pretty much all of them have been through incredible tragedies or bankruptcy or depression or roller coaster of anxiety. And like, that's just entrepreneur life. That's just what it is. Then you get through it like I have, and you get to, hopefully you get to a place like this where you're just enjoying your life and sitting in your backyard and playing with your family and making as much money as you want. But yeah, there are multiple steps. One, having great mentors who, actually understand what you've gone through, and they can help you get through that as well. And I certainly do that for people starting their own businesses now. And again, that's what the book is a guide. I saw a therapist for anxiety for well over a year. At the end of 2018, I'd made more money than I ever thought possible, and I'd never been more miserable in my life. So I'm like, well, okay, money's not going to make me happy. There's something going on here. So most of 2019, I saw her once a week, and that helped greatly. And so, things like that. And then I think, again, most importantly is having mentors. Entrepreneurial life can be a very lonely world, but having mentors really helps you know that someone's out there that understands what you're going through, and just as important, can actually help you, with the experiences that you're going through.
Now, many of our listeners may be wondering, when should they obtain a mentor? Do you have any advice in regards to that?
Yeah, before you start a business. So one of the chapters in my book is have 2 to 3 mentors in your life. And so I don't have it in front of me, but there's an article that I cited from a reputable publication that said 82% of entrepreneurs, when they start a business, don't have a mentor. I had 2 mentors right when I started it. And it honestly is amazing to me that percentage is so high, that like you start a business and you don't have someone that, that at least can help you navigate the waters. I mean, in terms of my business acumen, when I started this, it was 0.0. I didn't know what a W-9 was. I didn't know you had to pay taxes 4 times a year. I didn't know what an LLC stood for. Nothing. I didn't go to school to learn anything about business. I went to school to be a journalist. So having mentors from the very beginning was essential, even before the beginning. And it's that's why I help so many people now, because without mentorship or without someone helping you with the path, I mean, it's essentially a road to disaster.
So basically, obtaining a mentor is truly significant, and I'm glad that you shared that with me.
Essential, yeah. So, a lot of it at first is it's ego driven. I can do this. I'm gonna fight through it. But I like being the dumbest person in the room, and I'm super successful, and I love being the dumbest person in the room because I don't care about revenue per se. But what I found is CEOs at higher revenue companies, usually their brains are more evolved. So I just like being in those rooms and just listen to them about life and that kind of stuff. And my brain is like a sponge. And again, that's what the book's about, is 30 things I learned from people like that. And then how I incorporated it into my business and in my life. So yeah, being the dumbest person in the room is great. In fact, that's where I prefer to be.
Very powerful. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, Justin, with the audience today, and for sharing your amazing story. It's very inspiring. And
Nice.
we're truly honored to have you as a guest on Walk With Me podcast. Now,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Where can the audience find you, Justin?
Yeah, I've got, I think currently about 22,000 followers on LinkedIn. So Justin Breen on LinkedIn. My website is BrEpicLLC.com. B as in boy, REP as in pony, IC as in cobra, LLC.com, BrEpicLLC.com. So you can find out where to get the book there as well. But the book's on Amazon. It's called Epic Business again, but it's on Amazon and Target. I think it's in Walmart now, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, please reach out. I'm very accessible, especially on LinkedIn, and I use that as a commercial for other people.
Absolutely amazing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out Justin at www.BrEpicLLC.com and get a copy of Justin's epic business book at BrEpicBusiness.com. And Justin, thank you so much again for being a guest on Walk With Me podcast. You have a blessed day.
You too.